Will the Resistance escape the First Order? Or will they be crushed? Or will they go on a chase that spans the entire movie and they don't get an inch on each other? Find out next on SebMovieTalk.
What we do here is go back.
Hey guys, Seb here from SebMovieTalk, and today we're going to be talking about the movie that came out about 3 weeks ago called Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now I know this has been a really polarizing movie just because of how many fans didn't like it and how many fans did like it. And I know a lot of fans didn't like it because about 50,000 of them signed a petition to get it removed from the canon. Okay, but for my opinion, I'm not trying to give the entire consensus of all the Star Wars fans, because that would just be a 50% rating straight down the middle. So it's gonna be my opinion. So let's dig into it. Okay, so the biggest thing about Star Wars that I think a lot of fans didn't like is the fact that it was just so different from another Star Wars movie. And I think that the story itself was good on its own, but for a Star Wars movie, it would kind of it didn't seem like it fit in a Star Wars movie. I think the biggest problem with the story would have been that kind of the divide between all the characters until the end of the movie. We have Rey and Luke, who are on the other side of the galaxy, and they're doing their own thing for the entire movie. And then we have the rest of the gang on a chase for 2 hours doing their own little thing. And they're all separated the entire movie. And that's good, and that's great. That's great for a standalone movie. But for Star Wars that established these characters, in the previous movie where they were all together, it's kind of just Thanksgiving. You're watching your cousins and your grandparents have dinner at one house, and then you're watching another pair of your cousins and another set of your grandparents having dinner at one house. No, it's Thanksgiving, so all your families are together. Okay? And then another thing I didn't like about the story is the fact that one thing I don't like in movies is when the characters do something that do not advance the plot. And they had so many of that going on in the movie. Alright, tell me one thing that Finn and the what's her name? One second. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Rose. Tell me one thing that Finn and Rose did to advance the plot before 2 hours into the movie. So let's just get this straight. They go off by themselves and they go to another completely different planet. They meet Benicio del Toro's character, who I could say with complete confidence that they did not need his stuttering in there at all. They're all together, and then they are completely they're trying to get into the whatchamacallit, Snoke's Imperial cruiser. They're all trying to get into that, and then guess what? They get into it. They're about to shut down the tracker, and then they get caught. They get caught. And not just oh, I got caught, good thing I just turned off the tracker right here. No, they get caught. And you know what happens? Nothing. And then the rest of it is just Finn and Rose and Benicio del Toro's actor, who turns out to be a bad guy.
Who saw that coming? I certainly did not.
You see them completely trying to fight for their lives while the Imperial cruiser's trying to blow up. And you know what happens? They just go back to the ship they were on in the first place. One thing I didn't like, the one thing that really grinded my gears, they could have just stayed on their own ship the entire time and nothing would have happened. Now that's what I call screenwriting. And the rest of the story has to pertain to Rey and Luke. I really liked the dynamic between Rey and Luke when it came to the story, and I thought that Rey had a really good kind of conflict between choosing to go with Luke and choosing to go with Kylo Ren. And overall, I liked that part. In fact, I think my favorite parts of the movie were probably taking place on the island. So yeah, good job there. Oh, the throne room scene, the one where Snoke's in it. I thought those were good. I thought that advanced the plot very well, and I think that those were really well shot. And I really like the color scheme between like the red and the back and stuff like that. It's just the one thing I don't like about action movies is the posing. And oh my god, there was so much in this movie. There was so much posing, it wasn't even funny. Like, Rey pulls out her lightsaber. Kylo Ren pulls out his weird, like, Crusader lightsaber thing that has the 2 endpoints right there, and whatever. He pulls it out, and then, I kid you not, I actually started laughing in the theater because all the Red Guards pull out their own little weird lightsaber-like weapons, and they all strike a pose. Like, it's not all of them are just like, alright, you better stand down right here, you better stand down right now. They all strike a pose. I swear, I kid you not, one of them was like this, the other one was like this. And like the next one like was like this. And I'm like, okay, that looks cool and all, but you all are striking different poses and stuff, and that's just like, God, it just was so distracting. So, story-wise, I give the movie a 7 out of 10. It'd be a 9 out of 10 if it was just, like, if I was just focused on the Rey and Luke, but unfortunately, Finn and Rose kind of just like, they kind of bogged it down a little bit. So I'm just going to go off on the characters one by one and give like a brief summary of what I thought. Otherwise this review would be like 20 minutes long. Princess Leia. I love Carrie Fisher, especially in this role, which is the only one I've seen her in. I really like what they did with the character. I like that they showed that she had the Force a little bit, which was pretty cool, and that even though they hinted at it in the original trilogy. And I really like that she had kind of more central role than just being that character who's like, oh yeah, I'm the general, yeah, good. And then I really liked what she did, and I think that they should give her a good send-off in the next movie. Just not really show her die, but like just be like, yeah, so she's no longer here. She passed her. I thought that she was gonna die when the top of the ship exploded, and I thought that was like, all right, that's a send-off to Carrie Fisher. That kind of sucks. But then she was in the movie for a lot more, and I was like, oh, hey. That's pretty good. Poe Dameron. I really liked him in the first part. I thought that they were really good at establishing his kind of like Maverick type character. Although I think they kind of violated the rule of show don't tell a lot when he was speaking to like Holdo, and she was just like, you're a fighter type character, and I'm like, well, thanks. I guess.
Right, we didn't know that already.
But overall, Poe Dameron was really good. I like how he tried to establish a mutiny and it didn't work. It kind of showed how his character can, in which he learns that he's not always right. Finn could have been so much better. They had such a good chance and they set it up perfectly. Like, he does nothing for the entire movie. Like, the entire second act, he's trying to go and shut down the tracker on the Imperial cruiser so the rebels can get away, but he fails spectacularly. And he finally makes it back on the ship, and he's gonna go, and then they're back on the ground, they're on the planet, and he's about to go, and he's about to sacrifice himself, and it'd be a great send-off because he finally did something right, and he's gonna go, and he's gonna save the Resistance, and then he just gets hit by the Rose character, and then she's like all like dusted and like almost dead, and he's fine, and then it's just like, oh yay, you kept Finn, he didn't do anything, yay. So Finn could have been used a lot better, in my opinion. Now let's go about Rose. I don't like Rose's character. I don't think she was needed in the movie, and I honestly would have been very happy if Finn was paired more with Rey than Rose, just like in The Force Awakens. So overall, I didn't like Rose's character, but I think the actor who played her did the best that she could do with the character, so I'm not trying to knock the actress herself. I think that she did very good. But I just didn't like Rose. Luke Skywalker. I really like how they added more dimension to his character. He's not just the good or bad, like, character. He's not the good Jedi or the bad Sith. He's more than that. He just doesn't want to be that anymore. Then we have Rey. Really good character development for her, and now she's like, she knows that she wants to be a Jedi, but she doesn't want to just be a Jedi. She just wants to be more than that. So I think they gave her as much character development as they did in the Force Awakens as now. And so now she's just a really like well-known character. And overall, I think she's just a good character in itself. I hope that she is given just the same amount of screen time as she is in this movie and the next movie. And so, yeah, I liked her a lot. Snoke. I really hope that we dive more into just the Snoke character in the next movie, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. It sucks that they killed him off so early, because he seemed like he would be such an interesting it seemed like he would be such an interesting character, especially with Andy Serkis playing him, or at least motion capturing and doing the audio for him. But unfortunately, he was just sent off, and it looks like he might be just a one-off character. And I guess that's just a missed opportunity. Last but not least, Kylo Ren. Holy crap. The one thing, the best thing that the screenwriters did, or whoever came up with this idea, was pairing Kylo Ren with Rey. And at first, I was very confused on to why they're even talking to each other at this point. Snoke, we later finds out, said the connection for them was just if you guys didn't watch the movie, this is kind of how the interaction goes, or at least how it happened in my eyes. And if you did watch the movie, this is how the interaction looked like to me. We have the connection right here. Kylo Ren, oh my, why am I seeing you? And then we have Rey, it's just you killed Han Solo, you son of a... Okay, so the first time they had their, force connection thing, and Rey had her huge, reaction, I can understand that. I can totally understand that. She just saw her, this is about, I don't know how long it happens, The Force Awakens happens and then Last Jedi, but let's just say it's 3 months, okay? So she just saw her mentor who just took her off a desert planet die by the hand of the guy she's just talking to, and then she gives that reaction. For the first time, I'm yeah, that's reasonable. I do the same thing in her place. And then I don't know if it's the third or the fourth interaction they have. They're about to hold hands from across the galaxy. I'm okay, I get it that Kylo Ren's a relatable character, or at least they make him out to be, but he just killed the Han Solo. He just killed his father, and now after the combined 10 minutes of talking to him, you're
he seems like a nice guy.
no, that's not realistic, okay? That's not realistic at all. But other than that, I like Kylo Ren's I like his character development, and I am very much excited to watch him in the next movie. He might die, he might turn good, he might do anything. And I think that's one of the best things about his character is Kylo Ren and Rey had the same thing that really makes me excited for the next movie. The screenwriters could literally write anything about the characters, and at this point they've been developed so well that it makes complete amount of sense. Rey joins the dark side, makes sense. Kylo Ren's such a relatable guy, they could rule the galaxy together. Kylo Ren joins the light side, huh? Who saw that coming? Because Rey's kind of really influential. Or we have them both dying in a fiery ball of fire, and I'm that's a great character development right there. So the characters, I give them a 6 out of 10. Kylo Ren, Rey, Luke, Poe were good. And I didn't like Finn or Rose. Oh, one other thing is I didn't like Holdo at all until the last part. And I'm going to talk about the last part later. But I like Holdo too. She's cool. Yeah, but too bad she's not going to be in the next movie because, she's kind of obliterated. Ugh. Okay, so the action in the movie is really good for me. A lot of the action owes credit to the props. The props themselves are the perfect happy medium between the one in the original trilogy and the one in the prequel trilogy. The ones in the prequel trilogy are really shiny and stuff like that, but they actually have a lot more CGI when it comes to them. But then in the original trilogy, it looks cheap, low budget props right there. But in this movie, in The Force Awakens, has the same thing where the props are kind of in the happy medium. They have a lot of CGI when it comes to it, but it looks realistic, so it's great. And so that makes the action look a lot better because the space fights look cool, and they also look like something you actually see if you were to see a space fight, which I'm pretty sure will all be dead before anybody sees that in real life. I thought the lightsaber fights were very good. I like them a lot. They also established a happy medium between the ones in the prequel trilogy and the ones in the original trilogy. Let me give you a demonstration of what the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy was like, because they were the complete opposite. Yeah, the original trilogy where the lightsaber fighting is this. And they have the prequel trilogies where they're literally just doing backflips and stuff like that. They're And you can tell, like, that's so choreographed. I'm pretty sure nobody would fight that like that in real life. Like, come on, I'm not gonna do like 3 flips and then suddenly like turn around and do the most unpredictable thing in the history of the world, and that guy's doing the same thing on his end, and then we somehow meet in the middle. Like, no, one of us is gonna get cut in half the instant we do it, and it'd probably be my own lightsaber that would cut me in half while I'm doing it. But The Last Jedi establishes the lightsaber battles as a good, like, mix between them, in which they're like choreographed, and they're more interesting than the original ones, but they don't look as fake as the prequel ones. Like, you can see, like, Kylo Ren and Rey, when they fight, they have no idea what they're doing. Well, Kylo Ren kind of has like an idea of what they're doing, but they're fighting for their lives. Like, they're not just like, I know exactly what I'm doing in this situation, and I know if I do this, it will go like this. Like, Kylo Ren's like, he's swinging his lightsabers like this, and he's going like, bang, bang, and he's just fighting her for his life right there. And Rey is actually like screaming when she's fighting. I'm like, yeah, I would do that too. And then one thing that I really like, and especially this goes out, shout out to the fight choreographer. You see the characters do the same like kind of attack in a sense, and you might be sitting there wondering like,
well, how does that add anything to the movie?
Well, that adds more to the character. Like, if you see the guy, like, go like this and somehow, like, lunge at a guy and it works, and he's going to do it again. And of course, if you show him over time doing the same move, it shows that he's actually, like, it's actually realistic. Like, if you learn how to punch, and then and then the next day you're just, like, going around throwing, like, haymakers and stuff like that, and, like, suplexing people, and you're like, no. But if you start out a fight, like, throwing a punch and it works, you're going to do it again. And so that's one thing I really liked about the fight scenes, is the realism. Realism was great. And then also, if we're going to talk about the Luke Skywalker and the Kylo Ren thing, that was awesome. Kind of wish they actually hit lightsabers, but then that would have completely defeated the point of Luke not actually being there. It was amazing. Like, it was amazing when Luke Skywalker straight up Matrix Kylo Ren. Like, I was in the theater, I was sitting with one of my friends, and I was like, yeah. That was awesome. Alright, and the one last thing I want to address with visuals is, oh my god, with the part where Holdo just light speeds into, like, Snoke's carrier. That was the greatest thing I've probably ever seen in a movie. Like, no lie. The fact that, shout out to Rian Johnson here, Rian Johnson. Shout out to the director here, because that was amazing. The fact that they cut the sound, although seeming very minor in the actual, like, post-production itself, made a huge impact, because then you could really just focus on the devastation. And then it kind of transported you from a third-person point of view where you're following certain characters around to a completely omniscient point of view where you're just watching it take place. And you just see, like, just the black and white screen of just, like, the Imperial Star Destroyer just getting teared in half, and you're just like, just let it the wave of just like amazingness just wash down you. But that's what happened to me. I don't know if that happened to you, but from a visual standpoint, I was like, ah. Yeah. So visuals, I give it a 9 out of 10. It was amazing. Overall, I think this movie had the same situation as Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The fans were expecting something that was just like the first movie, and some of them were disappointed when it wasn't just like it, but then the others were excited because they saw something completely different from the first story. And I was on the side of being excited. I saw something that I did not usually see in the Star Wars universe, and because of that, it makes me excited. And so overall, I'd say I give this movie a 7 out of 10. The visuals are great. I thought the story went in a new direction that I really appreciated, and I think it opens the door for a lot more like potential in the next movie. The only soft spots I say was the second act in which they focused on Finn and Rose a lot more, and I really was disappointed that it didn't further the plot in any way. But overall, I think it was a good movie, and I would recommend it. So, SebMovieTalk gives it a 7 out of 10. Would recommend. Well, that's all for today. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and y'all have a great day, or not. The choice is yours.